Good evening and welcome to this week's programme, and a very happy new year to you all. A very chilly happy new year to you all. Yes, it's a little bit on the cold and chilly side, isn't it? But we're back after a 2-week break, and it's good to be back with you this evening. So, in the news this week, Dorset police are appealing for anyone with information to come forward after a man was fraudulently collecting money for charity in Dorchester. At around 12 p.m. on Tuesday the 22nd of December, a man was standing on South Street collecting money in a bucket, claiming to be on behalf of the charity Food for Life. The man had a photo ID and charity reference number, etc. attached. However, following inquiries, it was found that the charity actually was removed from the charities list in 2003 and no longer operates. He's described as aged in his early 20s, approximately 6 feet 2 inches high, and a slim build with dark hair. He's wearing a red coat and jeans and was carrying a yellow bucket. If anyone knows anything about this individual or they see him collecting elsewhere, Dorset Police would like to know either on 101 or by calling Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111. In the news on coronavirus, unfortunately it's something that we do cover most weeks. Unfortunately, there's been a significant increase in COVID cases and rates within Dorset. Like most of the country, Dorset Council reports that they have seen significant increases in the rates in the last couple of weeks, and also an increase in the rate of hospital admissions. The latest figures, and these were the ones released on the 29th of December, haven't seen any since, showed that the 7-day case rate has gone up from 46 per 100,000 to 120.2 per 100,000. So that's quite a rise in a 7-day period. And also the confirmed cases up from 174 to 455 in 7-day period. So again, significant increases. Obviously now we are also in tier 3, which is the high alert tier, and we wait to see what happens the next time that is assessed. And of course our neighbouring area of Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole are in tier 4. Dorset Public Health obviously ask you to limit your contact with people from outside your household as much as possible, and obviously follow the hands, face and space guidelines. New rules for dogs have come into force with a new public spaces protection order across the Dorset Council area, which came into force on the 1st of January. This does change the restrictions on things like Weymouth Beach for dog walking and places like the Nothe in Weymouth. There's quite a lot of information on this dog protection order, so I suggest it's worth going along to the Dorset Council website to have a look. What they've tried to do is to make sure that their approach is consistent and clear across the whole of the Dorset Council area. And it applies to things like beaches, sports fields and other public areas. So do have a look at that. It does follow a 15-week consultation period at the end of last year, where they received 8,602 responses. So actually very high rate for a public consultation exercise. The recommendations from the consultation were considered and approved by the Places and Resources Overview Committee at Dorset Council Cabinet. So do look at the Dorset Council website to find out exact arrangements for public places if you visit public places with your dog. Another story from Dorset Police. They're investigating the theft of mobile phones from a store in Dorchester, and they have issued some CCTV footage of some suspects, which you can see on the screen now. Around 4:25 on Tuesday the 22nd of December, 3 men entered the Curry's PC World store at Weymouth Avenue Retail Park and made off with some mobile phones. One of the phones was a black iPhone 11 Pro, was recovered from near the store. The other phone was a gold iPhone 12 Pro. It's believed that these same men have been attempting walk-in thefts at other stores across the region. There have been reports in Taunton and Exeter, as well as the ones in Dorchester, and people are asked to be vigilant and to yet again report any information they know to Dorset Police on 101 or Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. In some positive news, Dorset has been named among the top places for staycations during 2021. People are still planning to stay in the UK, it looks like it, for the majority of their holidays in 2021, despite the promised immunisation programme that's happening this year. Many holidaymakers say that they're reluctant to commit to travelling abroad due to the ever-changing travel restrictions and uncertainties on the restrictions in other countries. British residents are barred from the EU as of 1st of January amid coronavirus travel restrictions, and 2021 could become another year when holidaymakers opt to stay within the UK. New research shows that 84% of the UK will consider staying in the UK for their holidays in 2021, and as also revealed, the hotspots for the year are Cornwall being the top destination, with nearly half of the people claiming that they'd like to visit the county for their holiday. The ever-popular Scottish Highlands and Devon tie in second and third place. Next is Cumbria and the Lake District, and very close behind it is Dorset, which is good news. So hopefully for our local businesses, if the coronavirus does improve during the year, it means that they will actually make up for some of the lost revenue over the last year. And it's interesting that actually our cities, which have previously been very popular, don't seem so high up on the list now. They're looking more at rural areas and coastal areas, and actually the city breaks seem less favourable, which is very interesting. Monkey World has closed temporarily after finding that most of its visitors' bookings were from Tier 4 coronavirus areas. Monkey World in Wool, Dorset said that workers had been unacceptably abused when contacting people who had wrongly tried to visit from a Tier 4 zone. It said it had a duty to protect staff as well as the park's rescued primates. The site, as it sits in the Dorset Council area, of course, is in a Tier 3 zone like ourselves, allowing outdoor areas to remain open. However, lots of people from Tier 4 areas have tried to visit in the last few weeks. It said that the large majority, despite being in Tier 4 since the 19th of December, have chosen to ignore the guidelines in place and book an attempt to visit anyway. Sadly, the abuse of many of their staff have had to endure when contacting people about their bookings has reached a level that they considered it was unacceptable, and they decided to shut for the time being. Also on annals, the RSPCA has issued warnings about a spike in calls involving abandoned hens and cockerels. The animal rescue charity fears that rescue centres may soon be overrun by birds. It says lots of people went out and bought chicks during the lockdown and now can't take care of them, particularly in light of recent bird flu warnings. The RSPCA dealt with 1,594 incidents related to chickens across England and Wales between January and the end of November, and has had an abandonment incidents relating to 1,562 birds, and 23 of those incidents were actually recorded in Dorset. An RSPCA spokesman said that concerns were raised during lockdown about the increase in pet acquisition and ownership, and we feared that people would soon lose interest and start to hand their animals over once things started to return to normal. In the spring, many hen producers reported huge surges in the demand for chicks, and we believe this may be because people panic bought birds due to the shortage of eggs in the supermarkets. And due to the shops being better stocked, and now these chicks and hens are now surplus to their requirements. Dozens of hens and cockerels have been dumped in recent weeks, sparking fears that charities and rescue centres will soon be overrun with unwanted chickens. The RSPCA fears that this problem could worsen as a result of the recent bird flu confirmed cases across the country, both in wild birds and captive birds. Obviously, if you've got birds and you're concerned about bird flu, there is information on the RSPCA website about how you can protect your birds. And obviously, if you're concerned about their health, you should contact a veterinary practice for advice. And of course, you should never abandon an animal if you can no longer care for them. Then again, you should be contacting the RSPCA or another animal charity to see if they can help. So that's our headlines for tonight. So moving to our first substantial story this week. Our first report is linked to a historic tourist venue that we've spoken about many times on this programme. That's the Knowth Fort. They're always working with their volunteers to ensure they provide their visitors, whether local or from away, a very good experience when they visit the Knowth Fort, and they can learn a lot about the fort and its history. Now, one of the groups of volunteers at the fort, which is the Knowth Artillery Volunteers, are looking to enhance what they do, and to do this they need some additional volunteers. So we're going to hear about this now. Are you looking for something new and interesting to do for 20? And 26th Royal Engineers are looking for volunteers. They are a Victorian reenactment group. They give authentic displays at the Knowth Fort in Weymouth and also take part in 8-side events and are available for hire for special occasions, weddings and birthdays, etc. They are in need of new recruits to help fire the guns and be part of their new Engineers display. The Royal Garrison Artillery in blue uniform mainly perform using the 2 larger cannons out of the 10 cannons that fire at the Knowth. They also train with the Pattern 53 musket. They are keen to boost the ranks for future projects with a breech-loading cannon and new parades to involve public while enhancing their living history displays. The 26th Royal Engineers, that's those in the red uniform, is the new side of the group and mainly doing the more ceremonial parades and using the Martini Henry rifle. They need to boost their numbers for the infantry display while starting the new Engineers parade to show how the Victorian Engineers build some of the world's greatest buildings, bridges and battle tactics. The group is also hoping to set up a marching band, so they are in need of a bandmaster and other musical-minded people to help set this up. If you don't fancy firing the guns or playing in the bands, the group is also after some ladies as camp followers to be the part of a big living history display. The purpose will be to show the public the harsh but very much needed role of ladies in 1880s Victorian life. If getting into uniform isn't your thing, the group also need help behind the scenes, helping to move equipment and helping with setting things up and packing them away or maintaining equipment. The group provides all equipment necessary and provides everyone with the appropriate training. So if you're interested and looking for something different and more fun to do, why not contact the Knowth Artillery Volunteers? You can make contact with them via their Facebook group or contact me and I will put you in touch. There we go, that's the Knowth Artillery Volunteers, and I've seen them actually dressed up on many occasions firing their cannons and muskets, and it really does make a difference when you're visiting the Knowth Fort to have groups like them dressed up in authentic gear. Gives you a bit more atmosphere when visiting the fort. So if that's something that interests you, something a little bit different, do get in touch and we'll put you in touch with the Knowth Artillery. One thing that I do every Saturday with the help of my team here is review the national and local newspapers for stories of interest. One of the newspapers we get on a Saturday is the Eye, and I've got it here. I don't know if any of you've seen the Eye. And one particular feature that I always like in the Eye is they produce lists. They're very good at producing lists, such as 50 ideas for Christmas present, 100 ideas of things to do during lockdown, and this week it's 40 outdoor adventures in the UK. So you can see on the front there, 40 outdoor adventures in the UK, and inside there's a long list of all the things that you can do outdoors, which is really good for getting fresh air and exercise at this time of year. Sometimes I wish that I could just actually take their lists and put them up on a website somewhere for local people, because actually they are very, very useful. They've got lots of links in them and they're a very handy resource, but they'd probably be a bit upset with their copyright if I did that. So reading this week's list, I was really pleased to see so many of them were about doing things for wildlife, like building bug hotels, putting food out for wildlife, seal spotting, making frog and toad abodes. And not only do they just give the suggestion, they also then give you a reference website that you can go off to and get all the useful information on how to do it. There were lots and lots of items this week to do with birds, watching birds, how to feed birds, building nest boxes, etc. This month sees an important annual event for Bird World, which is the RSPB Big Garden Birdwatch. And I'm sure you've come across this before. This is where the RSPB ask us over a period of a few days to watch for 1 hour our garden, our balcony, a spot in a local park, and to do a count of the birds, to give us an idea about where bird life is in the UK. So we're going to hear a bit about that now. It's almost time for the RSPB's Big Garden Birdwatch. The RSPB are doing their Big Garden Birdwatch this year between the 29th and 31st of January. You can choose any hour between the 29th and 31st of January. So whether you're an early bird or a night owl, you can still take part. All you have to do is count the birds that land in your garden, or in the local park if that's where you're observing, or on your balcony if you don't have a garden. Ignore any birds that are still in flight to avoid any double counting. Just record the highest number of each bird species you see at one time, not a running total. You can submit your results online at rspb.org.uk/birdwatch from the 21st of January up until the 19th of February. If you'd rather send your results in by post, you can download a submission form from the RSPB website, but you should send them in to make sure they get there by the 15th of February. Every count is important, so if you don't see anything, still submit your results. Finding out which birds don't visit your area is just as important as finding out which do. Visit the RSPB website for all the resources and counting sheets you need at www.rspb.org.uk. You can print down the sheets to help you in the survey, or posters, or any other display material that you want to take part. Let's hear from Chris Packham about this year's Great Garden Birdwatch.
What will you see when you join us for this year's RSPB Big Garden Birdwatch?
I want to see what the early bird looks like.
And see how many different birds I can spot in an hour.
Many of us are enjoying spending more time with nature now, so why not take part in this year's Big Garden Birdwatch to build a picture of how birds are faring across the UK.
It helps us better understand how things are changing and how to help our wildlife.
Join in between the 29th and the 31st of January.
For your Big Garden Birdwatch guide, just search online for Birdwatch 21.
What will you see in your Big Garden Birdwatch? We'd love to know.
Of course, there's lots of things we can do to encourage birds into our gardens, especially over the winter months, like putting out a bird table, putting out a bird feeder. And another thing we can do during the winter months is to buy or make a bird box, so that when they are ready for the warmer months, we can put them up and to encourage birds to nest in our gardens. If you fancy having a go at building your own bird box, Rose from the National Trust at Lidford Gorge in Dartmoor has produced a short instructional video to show us what to do, so that the birds in your garden may be able to have a brand new home this spring.
I'm Rose. I'm the Visitor Experience Officer here at Lidford Gorge. Welcome to our workshop, and I'm going to show you how to make a bird nest box like this. First you'll need a plank of untreated timber, some galvanised nails about 2 inches, some little clout nails, and then you need 4 screws, a small section of rubber or leather, and some short sections of garden wire, and this means you can shut the lid. Okay, so I'm going to put some drainage holes in the bottom just to keep them dry, and I've got a 6mm drill bit, but any biggest drill bit will be fine, and just somewhere in the corner but not too close.
There you go, that's in just a couple of minutes there, how to build a garden bird box. And of course the beauty of that is you don't need to be a cabinet maker, so if you're not particularly good at woodwork like me, it's one of those things that you can roughly throw together, and I think Rose made it look there rather simple. If anybody wants the details of that and they can't play the video back, let me know and I can provide them with the plan to make their garden bird box. Now, it comes to that time of the programme where we're going to play the dodgy birthday jingle. We do have a birthday this week, so let's see if the dodgy birthday jingle works or whether it gets stuck. And predictably it got stuck. I think it's the button on my little control panel down here that I've got allocated to the birthday jingle. I think it's the button. There must be something wrong with the button, so I need to swap them over for another week and try it. Anyway, this week we say a very happy belated birthday by a few days to Lucy, who was 9 on New Year's Eve. So Lucy, we hope you had a really nice birthday on New Year's Eve, yeah, happy birthday. I'm sorry it's late. We should have caught you last week, but the communications didn't quite work. So we're wishing you a happy birthday this week. Of course, if you're celebrating a birthday or an anniversary or anything else, do let us know and we can say congratulations to you in a future week's programme. Moving on then, as we come to the end of 2020 and now into 2021, in fact, I'm going on to the wrong story now. Let's go back one. Some of Christmas is now over, and some of us will be going back to work next week, and some of us will be going back to school. And one of those awful jobs that we have to do each year is to clear up after Christmas, isn't it? And to pack up the decorations and take the tree down. I absolutely dread doing that. You get the glitter everywhere and have to clear it all up, and having had that period where the house is all decorated up and all cheerful, we then get back down into that dirgy January and February winter months, don't we? This week Janet Hall has been thinking about clearing up and packing away after Christmas.
Hello everyone. I hope you all managed to have a lovely Christmas. In 2020, plenty of people started to put up their Christmas decorations a lot earlier than usual. It has been such a challenging and unexpected year that the twinkling lights and glistening baubles brought some needed comfort and colour and merriment into our lives and homes. Now perhaps is the time to start thinking about putting it all away. And although you can take your decorations down whenever you want, according to tradition, there is a correct date to do it. And if you're superstitious, you might take that deadline seriously, as it's believed that it can bring bad luck if you don't. So, what is the deadline? Well, Christian tradition says your Christmas tree should stay up until the 12th night, which celebrates the arrival of the wise men or magi who followed the Star of Bethlehem to bring their gifts to baby Jesus. However, when 12th night isn't as straightforward as you might imagine. While Advent is the 4 weeks prior to Christmas Eve, starting on a Sunday, different beliefs make the post-Christmas period harder to define, especially 12th night. When to take your Christmas tree down is all dependent on when you start counting the 12 days of Christmas. The Church of England counts from Christmas Day, so the 12th night always falls on the 5th of January. But other denominations, including the Catholic Church, start counting the 12 days of Christmas from Boxing Day, so the 6th of January, 12th night, is also Epiphany. This uncertainty is a bit worrying when, according to superstition, it is bad luck to leave your decorations up after 12th night. This belief seems to have started in the olden days when people used to decorate their homes with ivy and holly. They used to think tree spirits lived in the greenery and made sure all their festive ornaments and trimmings were taken down in the first week of the new year to set them free. However, the Magi have only just arrived on Epiphany, so most churches keep the crib up until Candlemas on the 2nd of February. Another tradition says that if the decorations are not removed on 12th night, then they should stay up all year. Lovely as I think the Christmas tree is, I don't think I want it there all year, so I will probably take them down on Tuesday just to be on the safe side. But it's always sad putting them all away for another year. Never mind, I'll just go on enjoying the crib for a little bit longer. Bye for now. And a happy new year!
Thank you, Janet, and Derek singing us a Happy New Year at the end. So we now know when 12th night is, or when it might be, over a couple of days. It's interesting though, I was listening to quite a few TV presenters over the last few weeks saying how nice it was that there were people putting their decorations up early, and the number of people who say they're going to leave them up this year to try and cheer things up. So it'll be interesting to see if all these houses that are lit up stay lit up, or whether they take their decorations down in the week ahead. And we'll just have to wait and see on that, I guess. So as Janet said, we come to the end of 2020, and now we're into 2021 and a new year. And I thought it would be worth us looking back for a few minutes at some of the stories that we've had since we started this programme back in April. It amazed me looking back at the range of different topics and different types of stories we've had, and some of the different contributors we've had. And we've actually done around 45 substantial video reports since we started this programme. So I thought we'd have a little mini review of the year and a look back at some of the stories from the earlier part of this year. In May, we heard from Jeff Rivers, and the work that was necessary to be done on the All Saints Church clock face, and how this had been undertaken by the steeplejacks.
The march of time has not been kind to the clock face, and it is now in need of some renovation and TLC. The following pictures show the extent of some of the damage to the wood. The main problem with repairing church clocks is that they are way up in the air on the side of a steeple or a tower. We had this problem at All Saints, and there's two options. The first is to erect scaffolding, which is time consuming and very, very costly, or we can get hold of some people who will throw themselves off the end of a piece of string tied to the top of the tower. We hired a firm called Dawson's from Bristol, who sent 2 steeplejacks to do this work for us.
In May, of course, during lockdown, we also celebrated the 75th anniversary of VE Day.
This unconditional surrender was signed on behalf of the German High Command by Field Marshal Jodl in Reims, France, at 0241 hours on the 7th of May.
This was the British people's finest day. VE Day, the end of the German war. Throughout the country, at homes and at work.
In May, we also heard from All Saints Church members and WykeRegis residents about their wartime memories.
The first is Evelyn Fuggle. This is Evelyn as we know her today. And this is her in 1939 when she started school. Her first school was a convent, but when her mother found that the nuns were sleeping in the children's shelters, she took her away and taught her at home until she went to Notting Hill in February 1940, where she stayed until 1951.
At the end of May, we heard from Frank and Marilyn Tuff on how they were using their ceilidh dancing to remain active during the lockdown.
Hello from Marilyn and Frank.
Hello.
During the lockdown, to keep fit, we've been trying to practice our Scottish country dancing. We normally do ceilidh dancing Monday nights at the Willowbed Hall at Chickerell. As we do ceilidh dancing and Scottish country dancing, the ceilidh dances are probably the best to dance at home.
In June, we marked the Queen's birthday. And then later on in the month, we also heard about local personality Thomas Fowell Buxton and what he'd done in terms of the abolition of the slave trade. That person is Thomas Buxton, or to give him his full name, Sir Thomas Fowell Buxton, Baronet of Belfield and Rumton, Norfolk. Sir Thomas Fowell Buxton was born in Essex in 1786. He was privately educated and went to Trinity College, Dublin. In July, we heard from Janet about the plans for a new boat for MV Freedom and the funds they needed to raise.
As we're celebrating Sea Sunday tomorrow, I thought it would be a good idea to do a report on how MV Freedom brings joy to many people.
To provide access to the sea for those who are living with disability. We usually take 2.5 hours per trip and we go twice a day, mornings and afternoons. We can take 12 passengers on board 4 wheelchairs if necessary.
We also had some fun and uplifting music from our friends at Weymouth Concert Brass. Sees the first part of our review of 2020 complete. Next week we'll look what we did from August onwards. But for tonight I'll leave you with the end of this report with Weymouth Concert Brass. There we go. Thank you to Helen and all our friends at Weymouth Concert Brass who are always doing concerts for us at All Saints Church and obviously helped us with carols on your doorstep, WykeRegis. And we look forward very much to them joining us, hopefully in the summer when things have improved for a couple of concerts, maybe. Looking at the week ahead, first of all, we're going to look at the national weather from the Met Office. Here is this weekend's forecast from the Met Office. Mainly cold, sunny spells, some rain, sleet and snow on Saturday. A warning has been issued due to rain, sleet and snow feeding across parts of northern England and Wales, bringing the risk of icy surfaces and travel disruption for Saturday. Areas of rain, sleet and snow are pushing southwards as we go through the day. Western Scotland will have the best of the sunshine today. A cold day with temperatures below average, feeling even colder in the northerly breeze. Cloudy for many with further showery rain, sleet and snow, heaviest in the east, showers tending to turn to rain at lower levels later in the night. Turning to Sunday, clearer skies across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, frosty for many early in the morning, harsh in the northwest. Mostly fine and dry as we go into the day. In the northwest, cloudy elsewhere with showers, wintry over the hills and thundery in the east. Again feeling very cold, breezier than Saturday for eastern, southern and central parts. High pressure to the northeast of the UK will bring a cold easterly flow as we go through to Monday, meaning it will stay cold into next week. The week ahead, mostly fine in the northwest, rain, sleet and snow showers elsewhere. That's today's weather forecast from the Met Office. So turning to the local weather, not much different actually. If we look at the week ahead, it's going to be cold with daytime temperatures just about every day not getting above 4 degrees centigrade and often much lower, hovering around 2 degrees during the day. And of course at night dropping further, so seeing some hard frosts early mornings in the coming week. And throughout the week there remains a chance of snow, sleet and rain showers, all a little bit unpredictable this week depending on those airflows from the east and the north. Looking at travel and road closures, not too much going on at the moment, I guess because of the holiday break. But works continue on the harbour side in Weymouth, both with the tram lines and also with the demolition of the former ferry port buildings. Works on the south side of the harbour on Noath Parade will be starting at the end of January, beginning of February, which we've mentioned before, just to remind you of that. And works in the Western area continue, being undertaken by Southern Gas Networks, which shouldn't cause too much disruption. Although there are roadworks at the Abbotsbury Road junction by the Rock Hotel, which sees the traffic lights out of action and with temporary traffic lights for periods of time, which may cause disruption at various times in the week ahead. On the trains, there are replacement timetables on both Great Western and South Western trains this weekend, and those amended timetables continue into the week ahead on Great Western services. And of course the prevailing weather may also cause issues with service and delays to service. Moving on to the What's On section, there isn't much to mention on What's On because of course now we're into Tier 3. Most things have actually shut down for the current time and we have to wait and see what happens in respect of Tier 3 in a week or so's time to see whether we stay there, we go back down, or whether there's a possibility that we may go up. So we'll just have to wait and see in the weeks ahead what happens. In terms of regular services, to remind you, in terms of church services, 09:30 at All Saints Church tomorrow. That's also live streamed, 11 o'clock at St Edmund's Church. Tuesday evening 5 o'clock there's a live streamed evening service on all our usual channels, and Wednesday morning there's a communion service in All Saints Church at 10:30. Of course, don't forget our quiz this evening at 7:30 in a short while. That will continue throughout these dark, long, cold winter months, and that's open to anybody, and we'll be very, very happy for anyone to join us with that this evening or any other week. As we're seeing the coronavirus levels growing rapidly, although it's not as bad in our area as it is in some areas of the country, it's still growing rapidly as the statistics showed earlier in the programme. I thought we would finish this evening with just a reminder of what we should be doing to keep ourselves safe. And I apologise that I do keep repeating this, but it really is the basic simple things that will stop us either getting coronavirus or, most importantly, stopping the spread of it. And it is hands, face, space. So it is washing our hands, it's covering our face and not touching our face with our hands, and it is keeping social distance, whether that means that we don't invite people into our home or we only meet the set number of people outside, or when we're with people we keep at that 2 meters distance. If we all do that, and I know it's a bit laborious, but if we continue to do that in the weeks and months ahead, we will see the back of this virus much quicker, and it will make the job of our NHS and the vaccinations much easier. So I'll leave you this evening with just the government information film on the coronavirus. I look forward to seeing you again next week for our news programme at 6 o'clock, and for some of you in a short while with our quiz this evening. So I'll say good evening.
As winter approaches, we'll be spending more time indoors. This will increase the risk of coronavirus spreading. The following reconstructions of everyday environments show why washing hands regularly, wearing a face covering and keeping at least 2 meters apart is vital in controlling the spread. Coronavirus can live for more than 24 hours indoors. You could pick up or pass on the virus by touching a contaminated surface. Washing your hands with soap and water or using hand sanitizer regularly throughout the day will reduce the risk of catching or passing it on. Coronavirus can be found in tiny droplets coming out of your nose and mouth. Wearing a face covering over your nose and mouth reduces the spread of droplets carrying the virus. This means if you have it, you're less likely to pass it on to others. Larger droplets can land on other people or on surfaces they touch. Spreading the virus through droplets is most likely to happen when you are less than 2 meters apart. Smaller droplets, called aerosols, can stay in the air for some time, especially if there is no ventilation. So when you are with people not from your household, you must keep at least 2 meters apart. The risk of spreading the virus through smaller droplets is much less outdoors, where there is more ventilation. Wash your hands, cover your face, make space. These are the 3 most effective ways we can all control the spread of the virus. Remember, if you have any coronavirus symptoms, high temperature, a new continuous cough, or a loss or change in your sense of taste or smell, get a free test by calling 119 or visiting nhs.uk. Together, we will control the virus and stop the spread. Don't forget, hands, face, space.